So, welcome to Ready for the Weekend episode 11, a show where myself and Kev run through our predictions and preview the weekend's important sporting action. Coming up this week, we have action in MMA, football, cricket, and GAA. We hope you enjoy. Okay, so we are getting things started this weekend with the main event of UFC with Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier 3. Possibly the biggest card of the year so far. Major trilogy fight. From what's been said, it's setting early pay-per-view buy records. McGregor only won once since 2016, which was his 60-second win over Cowboy Cerrone. Mostly kept quiet in his training camp this time. It's been rather unusual, except for the whole Instagram DM thing with Dustin's wife, but, it's a little bit of gamesmanship, but it's nothing as amped up as what he has been with the likes of his Aldo, Diaz, and Chad Mendes fights. Poirier, on the other hand, back-to-back wins over Hooker and McGregor, since his 2019 loss to Khabib. One loss since 2017, and that was to Khabib, so does it even count? Dude has racked up some massive names on his record. Gaethje, Alvarez, Holloway twice. Genuine trilogy fight, one apiece. It's massive. It's, I can't see this going the distance, and so most of the pundits in the build-up to this. Largely consensus is McGregor in the first two. Anything after that is very much Poirier territory, and that's what I see happening. We haven't seen anything from either guy since they fought in January, so there's no real improvements to really gauge this on. So, the last time we saw Poirier, he was decimating McGregor, so that's where I'm leaning here. I'm going to go Poirier in the third round by knockout.
For the third meeting, we have Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor come up this weekend. Looking from the previous fight, Poirier was more, fitter, and he seemed more dominant. And recently had more games than McGregor. McGregor only beaten Cowboy, and that was the first win since 2016. Poirier had lots more fights, and that's why I probably back him up for this. It may not be by knockout, but I would say it's a decision. But I would probably go for Poirier for this one.
Okay, so next up is what has very much been a bit of a favourite for the show over the last month or so, is the Copa America. We have the final as Brazil take on Argentina. This was pretty much inevitable the entire way through the tournament. They were by far the two best teams in this. Brazil, not the most exciting, have home advantage, they're the holders. My issue with them is we've really not seen them play anyone that great. As much as I loved the Chile side, they didn't offer that much resistance to them. Brazil with the back-to-back 1-0 wins over Chile and Peru to reach the final. They've looked okay, but they're a bit boring. They've been kind of wasteful. What chances they have created, they really should have put teams away. They just haven't. Neymar, 2 goals, 2 assists through the tournament. Really should have lit this up with the golfing class that they've had over the teams they've played. But they've kept things tight, they've barely conceded, and they look en route to probably another Copa America here. Argentina, on the other hand, much more entertaining, a 3-0 win over Ecuador, but did need penalties to get past Colombia. The almighty Emi Martinez, saving 3 penalties in the shootout, looked class as carrying on his form from Villa this past season. The difference between these two really is that they have genuine firepower and they've used it this tournament. Messi and Lautaro leading the scoring in the tournament, as well as Messi topping the assists chart. Even with that though, I think this just sort of has Brazil written all over it. They've just kept things tight and home advantage. They were the clear favourites going into the tournament. I'm going to stick with them here, but I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-1. I think they're going to need a second goal to get past Argentina, and I can't see this Argentina team not scoring. So I think Brazil 2-1 here is probably the safe bet.
In the Copa America final, we have Brazil versus Argentina. Brazil getting through to the final. Not as much goals as the group stage. Pretty much stable 1-0 win. But very solid defence. Argentina seems to be a little more reliant on Messi. He's leading on the most assists, and he's pretty much contributing to most of Argentina goals. So I want to keep their star man. I'll probably go for Brazil. They have a pretty dominant team, especially their defence, and they have a load of goal scorers, not only on their first team but also on the bench. I would probably go for nothing crazy, or even a 1-0 win at this stage. I probably would like to lean on penalties, but I think they'll get the win before the 90th minute mark.
Okay, so could football actually come home? Italy versus England in the Euros final. Italy, they have been the team to beat all tournament. Yes, they needed penalties to get past Spain, but they've looked so good. Only conceded twice all tournament. Once against Spain, once against Belgium. So only good teams have put goals past them. Since the opening game, they've been the team everyone sort of gone, yeah, they're pretty good. Gonna need to beat them if we're gonna win this. Yes, the Spinazzola loss has damaged their attacking output. He's been phenomenal all tournament. My issue with this is their high pressing tempo game has really took its toll from the look of the extra time against Spain. They looked out on their feet. The way that they've gone after teams and pressed, I do think that's going to start to hinder them, and did in extra time there. Spain definitely had the legs on them in that extra time and were unlucky. I mean, maybe if they had a striker of some level of usefulness, they might have actually got past them in extra time. Morata, yeah. On the other hand, England, they got so lucky against Denmark. A really ropey penalty got them through in the end in extra time. Again, they've done the job. They've only conceded once this tournament. They've looked tidy, while not really carving teams open. For me, they haven't actually played anybody any good yet. Denmark were a team that were together and they were a unit and they played well, but they're not very good. I mean, they're a couple of places above Ireland in the rankings, I think, and yeah, they're a solid team that if you're looking to win a tournament, you should be brushing aside fairly easily. The Germans that they beat, they weren't up to much at all, and Ukraine gave up. Look, England have every chance of winning this tournament, but I don't think they will. I think Spain showed Italy have issues if the game gets dragged deep, but I think they're going to push the pace on this England team enough to bother them, and from the looks of Pickford in the last game, big occasions are getting to some members of this England squad, and I think actually having a packed out Wembley could potentially cause more problems than benefits. So I'm going to take Italy here, and I'm going to go 3-1. Even though they look exhausted, I just think they look so much better than England. And yeah, I think it's going to take its toll on this England team having that atmosphere there. I think they're going to be overly amped up for the game, and I think it's going to end up with Italy with a pretty resounding win.
Next, we have the Euro final, Italy versus England. There'll be no bias here. This will be my expert opinion. Italy really were rooting them for the during the competition. Even at the group stages, they were very brilliant team. Not as fantastic, you would say, like their previous years, but like they have redeemed a lot from not qualifying for the World Cup stage previously. I've seen them previous games. They might have lost a bit of focus a few times. There's a few silly mistakes, but apart from that, I think they were fantastic throughout the campaign. England also very good campaign as well. Haven't lost a game as well, same as Italy. Their squad is unbelievable. Even under subs bench, they can bring on players with ease. I would say there's even wondering who would be on the first team. It was so hard to pick, and you can show that they're very good, very determined throughout the whole campaign. I'll probably go for Italy, but I probably wouldn't go. The result would be very hard to take, but I would say they'll get the win at extra time. It won't be in penalties or 90th-minute mark. I think it can go to extra time, and I think that's who will get the win. But again, it's going to be very close to call.
Okay, so I let Kev have his pick again this week, and we are back with the GAA as Kerry take on Tipperary in the Munster semi-final. As usual, Kev done up the notes on this, so I know next to nothing rather than what's on the piece of a Word document in front of me. Tipperary won the Munster Championship last year. Were relegated from Division 3, losing all their games this year, including to Offaly, which, from my awareness, isn't exactly good. Apparently, they've got a really dominant forward line that make up most of their scoring. Kerry, on the other hand, topped their League One North, getting themselves against Dublin. Clear favourites to win the Munster Championship with their goals of toppling Dublin this year in the All Ireland, apparently. So yeah, I think from that, unless he's absolutely done me dirty here and given me really, really misleading notes, I'm going to take Kerry over to Kev, where hopefully he offers a bit more insight than me.
In the GA football, we have Kerry versus Tipperary in semi-final. Tipperary, unfortunately, have been doing very well in the league, getting relegated, losing all their teams. Despite having most of their players from their previous years, which is very hard to see, hard to take basically. I really want Tipperary to do well in the next coming years with the team they have, especially with that forward line with Sweeney, who's doing very well in the forward line. But Kerry, same story, very, very dominant, but you can see they're really, really ruthless, especially this year, as they're not even looking at the Munster Championship, they're looking for the All Ireland. That's what they're more focused on. They want to win that. They want to topple Dublin. That's what their mental training going on. Like, if you look at these matches, there's in the league, how they've toppled Tyrone in the league, Division 1. You just see that they definitely want to win the All Ireland. So I would say it's going to be a clear win for them. Unfortunately, even despite I really want Tipperary to win, but it doesn't look that way. I would say they'll probably even win more than 9 points. They're really, really dominant. But let's hopefully Tipperary will come up with a big fight.
And to wrap things up this week, I've done it once again. I've picked the cricket. Ireland are back in action, so I could not put them forward on this on the show. So Ireland against South Africa. It's the first time in 2 years that a major nation has come over and played in Ireland. So I thought it was pretty nice to attach it to the show. First of a 3-match series. Last time anyone toured was the Tri-Series against Scotland and the Netherlands, where they played over here. Ireland, they're in a bit of a lull at the moment. They're really not great. Ranked 12th in the one-day rankings to South Africa's 5th. They're coming off the back of 2 away series losses to the Dutch and Afghanistan. It's really sort of showing their level. I mean, a few years ago where they were managing to compete against some of the nations in these tournaments and stuff, whereas now they're sort of a distance behind Afghanistan, who they gained test status with. South Africa, on the other hand, are again not having the best of luck at the moment. A 2-1 loss to Pakistan, as well as a loss to Australia back in February. But look, Ireland are massive underdogs in this, and I really don't see them getting a result here. As much as it's nice to see them back playing here in a home series in front of a crowd, which I'm hopefully going to be in at some point over the 6 matches that South Africa are playing over here. But yeah, as much as I would love them to get a result here, I really don't see it. They're coming up against a good opposition. They're using this as a warm-up, and there is a bit of a gulf in class here. Whether South Africa go over with an idea of using a few squad players, maybe lean into Ireland's favour at some point in the series. But if they go out, use their strongest team available as a proper warm-up, then I could see Ireland getting a bit of a thumping here across this series. But it's just nice to have them playing again on home soil. But yeah, I think South Africa take this pretty comfortably.
As we may not have the Lions tour in South Africa, we will have the Ireland versus cricket, Ireland versus South Africa in the cricket, as the players seem to be more isolated in cricket than in rugby, so that seems to go on ahead. Ireland ranked 12th, have been doing well with losses against Afghanistan and Netherlands. South Africa has also had a loss, but that was against Pakistan, a very good team. Despite their home advantage, I'm afraid I have to go for South Africa. It would be very hard to say, it would be a tough call. I think it would actually be a dominant win for South Africa, but again, we'll see.
Okay, so that wraps up episode 11 of Ready for the Weekend. Let us know your predictions below, see if you can match up with us. You'll probably do better again. Really not that difficult. Also, let us know what you want us to cover next week. We're always happy to toss in whatever you guys are recommending. At least sort of expand on what we're doing, because most of the time we're just sort of having a flick through whatever's on TV and just picking whatever we're most interested in. But hey, always happy to do a bit of research on whatever else people want us to cover. Anyway, see you next time.